but it's water in the morning, and letting my body learn. This clean skin, soft light, this rest that shows in my eyes. This is how I hold my shoulders when I stop living rushed. I don't chase it, I make space for it. I come back to myself. That's a woman's glow, not loud, but you can feel it, that's all.
So for today's video, we are going to be doing our April reading wrap up and also our May hopefuls. I figured I would do them in one video and also give you guys a good little view of my junk journal spreads that I did for April. So I hope you enjoyed those. But let's get right into it. Let me preface this video by saying I am a huge mood reader, okay? So I don't really go for like looking for plot holes or like trying to analyze everything in a super deep meaning. I just read for vibes, okay? And if the vibes are good, it's going to get a 4 or 5 star. Unless there's just something really annoying or irritating, it's going to get a 4 or 5 star. This Story Might Save Your Life is the very first book that I read in April, and this got a 5 star. This is a thriller about two friends who have a podcast together, and you get to see his perspective and her perspective. And her perspective actually ends up being a memoir that she secretly wrote. When she goes missing, her friend is trying to find her, figure out where the husband is, who really did this to her. And so you get to see really good point of view from both sides, and you don't really know who the bad guy could be for a while. But I gave this a 5 out of 5 star. I really enjoyed the dual point of views and all the characters that really came into play and the twist that you don't see coming. So I really enjoyed this. Highly recommend. Starside was the next book that I read, and I know everybody was really looking forward to this book. This is actually the first Alex Astor book that I have read. I do own the Light Lark series, but have not made the time to read them yet. So first impressions of Alex Astor, loved. Starside got 5 stars from me. I loved this world that Alex Astor built, and I'm really looking forward to the second book. I actually already pre-ordered it. So this is about a girl whose family was killed. And so whenever it's time for these competitions to begin, to where these people can compete to win a goblet of magic, she decides that she is going to enter and use the skills that her adopted dad gave her in sword fighting. And in this book, the magical or the super powerful swords are actually able to pick their wielder. And so she enters this competition. She is against a lot of different people, and one of those people is the King's Guard. And so they actually end up like kind of teaming up together to try to get to the end, through this fairy world where the woods are magic. Everything wants to kill you. So her and the King's Guard team up, and he has his own reasons for wanting to get this goblet of magic. Her reason is actually revenge. She wants to kill the god that killed her family in her town. And so I really enjoyed this. I thought the romance was good, the yearning was good, very enemies to lovers, and I also loved the magic in the Fae world. So yeah, this got another 5 star for me. This was a really good month. I don't know if that's just because I was in a really good reading mood or because these were just absolutely amazing books. I'm not sure. Anyway, on to our next 5 star. I finished the last 2 books in the Red Rising trilogy. Now I know there's 2 more after the initial 3, but it's kind of like a trilogy all on its own. You don't really have to read the next 2 unless you want to. It leaves off on a really good point. So the second one is Golden Sun. This got 5 stars for me. Surprise. I really loved this. This really continues into Darrow's story. Him living as a gold, him trying to gain all this power for the Sons of Ares, and whenever people kind of start figuring out if he maybe is a spy, or things like that. Him and Mustang have to kind of end things. Um, and he is teaming up with some questionable characters to try to keep his identity a secret. But he loves his wife, Io, that passed away, and he is really trying his best to make sure that she gets justice. This is just a beautiful, like, sci-fi dystopian fantasy world that Pierce Brown has made. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. This one was actually my favorite of the whole trilogy. But I will say this leaves off on a huge cliffhanger. So you need Morningstar on hand. Like, I immediately finished this and grabbed the other one out of my bag because it was that much of a cliffhanger. So, 5 star. No surprise, 5 star was also Morningstar. I thought this was a beautiful conclusion. You get to see Darrow kind of come back into this world, but he's not the same Darrow that he was before. And so you get to really see Severo has kind of taken control of the Sons of Ares movement, and a bunch of people have joined. Now we have all these colors coming together to take down this gold hierarchy that is in place. And you get to see and just really imagine in your mind all of these space travels and all of these battles that they're doing. I just really enjoyed. I've never read anything like this trilogy before, and I thought it was amazing. So I thought the way that this ended was beautiful. It was a good conclusion to Darrow, Mustang, and Io's story. I actually got a picture drawn by a artist, a small creator that I follow, and she has the picture of Darrow and Io whenever Io was hanged in the first book. Um, Break the chains, my love. Beneath. I was super excited for this. So if you guys have not read Conform by Ariel Sullivan, it's a dystopian that I read a couple months ago and I really loved it. And so when she announced that she was actually coming out with a prequel trilogy, so like the dystopian world that's in Conform, this is before the dystopian world came to be. So this is like when the war is happening, that kind of decimated the earth. And you have a female main character who is a medic, and for some reason, she does not get sick when everybody else gets sick. And they are all living underground in this place called New Haven. And so, as she's working as a medic, we have our main male character who is kind of the leader of this guard team, and they kind of protect New Haven, and they also go out into above ground to look for supplies and things like that. And when one of his team member dies in her care, she is helping them all kind of cheat the system by not hurting their health scores, so that they can stay on this team. And one of the team member dies and she can't forgive herself. So she goes to a different job sector and is content and living in this monotonous life until they randomly tell her, hey, actually, you're going to have to be the medic for our team now. It was kind of decided, you don't really have a choice. So now she is a medic who is having to train to be able to go above ground with this team. And she really, you get to see like her guard coming down. You get to see why she is so guarded from her past and who her family was. You also get a really good love story, in my opinion, and I really love dystopian. This was a 4 star for me. I really loved it. Conform was a 5 star. This was a 4 star just because I felt like the female main character was a little bit too much of a I hate myself and I don't deserve anything, and it was really like that until the end of the book. But other than that, I loved it. It was just a little insufferable for a little bit, but then it got better. So I thought that this was a really cool thing that Ariel Sullivan is doing, to where she is putting this prequel series out to where you actually get to see the Conform world that's being built, but you get to see how Conform dystopian world came to be with this trilogy. So I'm super excited to continue this journey and the Conform journey. I really loved these. The next book was The Last Letter. This was very long awaited for me. I've had people tell me to read this forever and to get my tissues ready, and they weren't lying. So romance is not really my genre. I rated this a 4 star. Um, I don't really like romance. The only other thing by Rebecca Yarros that I have read is the Empyrean series, obviously, and I loved those. I did enjoy this. However, I feel like it's almost exactly like The Lucky One by Nicholas Sparks, the book and the movie. Um, so it's a little too similar for me. And I felt like whenever she finds out who he is, she kind of blows it out of proportion, just like in The Lucky One. But this is about a girl who is a single mom of twin kids, and she is writing letters to her brother's best friend who's in the military. They serve together, and whenever her brother dies and her daughter gets diagnosed with cancer, the best friend who she is writing to as Chaos comes back and decides to help her in any way that he can, but he doesn't want her to know that he is Chaos because he knows that she's going to push him away. So he becomes like a dad figure to her kids. They fall in love. And whenever she finds out who he is, she just kind of blows everything out of the water and is like, I don't ever want to see you again. This has a super devastating end that, in my opinion, was really unnecessary. I felt like she just put it in there to really make people cry. So, I mean, I did cry a lot, so get your tissues ready. But this was a 4 out of 5 star. I still enjoyed it, but I do think it was a little bit too similar to The Lucky One, in my opinion. Um, but it was still a good romance story. I enjoyed that it was really realistic time wise. It wasn't like, hey, we just met 5 seconds ago and now I'm in love with you. So you get to see that kind of play out through the letters that they wrote to each other, which I thought was super sweet. So the last one that I read got a 5 out of 5 stars. The Thorn Queen is the second book to the Rose Bargain, and these are actually a YA fantasy duology. I loved the Rose Bargain. If you haven't read it yet, it's basically Bridgerton meets Fae Fantasy with girls who are like having their coming out season and they're meeting the Queen. And the Queen is actually a Fae, and she grants these rose bargains where you get one wish, but you have to give her something in return. And usually it's something crazy like she'll cut off your thumb or, I don't know, make you not taste sweets anymore. So this actually continues our female main character's journey, Ivy. She was tricked into marrying this evil fae prince, and now her true love and her sister are locked away in this fae world, and she doesn't know how to get to them or to save the kingdom because he has really just turned it into chaos. There's no structure. She is having to do everything that rulers should do with taxes and all that kind of stuff. When she finds a way to get into the Fae world, she gets there and things are not what she expected. Love from her true love is a lot harder to regain than she thought. Time passes differently there, and they thought that she was dead. So in this book, you get to see how her and her sister and her friends and her true love take down the evil prince. Now we will be moving on to our May hopefuls. So the first one that I'm already about 20 pages into is the second deck of Locke. So I loved The Night and the Moth. It's one of my all-time favorites. So I'm hoping to kind of continue those vibes with this one. I've heard nothing but good things. So the second one is The Wicked Sea. This is the super pretty L'Oreal edition that I got with my subscription box. It's about mermaids. That's about all I know. I have not seen or heard any reviews on this, but it's stunning either way. And I love a good mermaid story. So, you know, I have also been really loving dystopian, obviously, and I have heard super good things about Blood Over Brighthaven. I know little to nothing about it. I don't think I've actually watched anything other than a star rating videos on it. Um, so I'm excited. Then to give myself a little bit of a fantasy break, I'm going to try The Surrogate Mother. I found this at TJ Maxx for like $6. And Brittany McFadden just always does it for me. You know? No, it's never like something astronomically new, but they're short. There's always good twist. Sometimes she writes repetitively, but you know what? It always never fails to help me reach my meeting goals and get me out of slumps if I need it. So we're going to throw a little Frida in there. And the fifth one is actually Binding 13. I also found this at TJ Maxx. I was glad I found the first one. So I am not a big romance person, like I said, but I'm really trying to find out what I like and what I don't like in that genre. And so we're gonna give this a try. I know everybody kind of puts these on their like god tier series, The Boys of Toman, and it sounds good. And so I'm hoping it's not insufferable. I'm hoping that it's as good as everybody says. But if not, that's okay. We're just gonna try it. Now she is a little thick, so that's a little intimidating, but that is my April reading wrap up and my May hopefuls. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, I would love for you to subscribe. I'm trying to build this YouTube channel up. I'm planning on doing more giveaways like I did a few weeks ago as we gain followers. And I'd love to be book besties with you. So see you guys later.